Hey y'all, welcome to Pews and Pull Starts. Viewer discretion is advised. This ain't that cookie cutter shit you're gonna see on TV. It's real life. Thanks for joining me. Let's get to the action. Right there.
Why did you have to be a bobcat? Damn it. I'm so glad you're here though.
I got myself the very first fisher. A shot of blonde squirrel.
Oh, right, there's bear tracks.
Exactly what I want to see.
Oh, hey, there's bear tracks.
Hey, look, bear tracks! Uh-oh. I think we got one. Yeah! So folks, I think this is my first black beaver. Good evening, folks. It is a very dirty Eric here. We are in the shop this evening to do some major surgery on my truck. In the past 3 weeks or past 2 weeks, it's really hard to tell. I'm not really sure which. I noticed that my frame, it split. This side is the worst side. This is the driver's side, of course. And so I ended up picking up these frame reinforcements off eBay. Picked up a pair for $100. And then I also ended up picking up this rear gas tank support. And then if you see the black pole where my finger is, that is this one right here. So I've got the new bar to go across for the gas tank because, as you guys can see, that all rusted out and disintegrated. And this one is not too far behind. You can actually look up inside and you can see inside there. I need to put a little bit of tension back on the back there so I can get this where it needs to be. And then I'm gonna put some Taxon on that side just to make sure it's good. And this side wasn't nearly split as bad. This side it only split right there. So I got the crack drilled out and then I will be doing that side. But I figured I would start on the worst side first. And so right now, all I'm doing is cleaning up and grinding all my welding surfaces. You guys can't really tell just because of the frame kicks up rust and everything back on it. Hey, also, it is the next day. I did not end up doing a whole bunch more filming. Just doing as much fit up as possible to prepare for getting this done because I want this to be nice. This is my personal rig, so I'm willing to spend an excessive amount of time getting it done right. I know that this is not the appropriate method of repair. I went to school for 2 years for auto body, ended up doing it professionally on and off for almost a decade. And I have proceeded to go into the mechanic side of things as well. I understand that you're not supposed to do this type of rust frame repair. I get that. That's why I'm doing it the way that I am, because I don't have a choice. I have to fix my vehicle. I can't afford to buy a new one. That's kind of how it goes. But I've got the time. The parts weren't that expensive. My labor for me is free, so I'm willing to put in the work to give myself a good product. So that's why we're here, and figured I'd make videos for you guys in the meantime. So I'm gonna do my best to try and film, but it's gonna be hard to say because my priority is getting the work done. The filming is honestly secondary in this situation, just because I have to make sure I'm done before Monday morning. So all of that said, I'm gonna get going and I'll throw up a camera here at some point. So I took extra special time yesterday to clean up everything behind this, ground it all down, wire wheeled it, removed as much of the surface rust as possible. And then it's not perfect, but it's a high temp paint, which I want that for the ability to resist high temps. So in the areas where I'll be welding, I'm gonna be cleaning it back off again, but I want paint on behind my plates because I don't want there to be a giant moisture trap behind there. It's already going to be, but I want it all to be sealed up and covered and no fucking big cracks or anything. So if moisture does get behind it, then it has something to fight against. It won't be a rust fest right away. I also have to start prepping for the tank bar. I will be removing probably a large portion of that centerpiece, and I will be welding some plate back in it, but I want to cut an access just like I did right here. I cut a piece out, and I will be putting that piece essentially back in with some stronger metal, but I wanted it out because I'm going to be reinforcing the inside of this as well. Because unfortunately for me, the bracket, the reinforcement piece, only reinforces this portion of it, but where it broke is right here. So I'm going to be welding all of this back up, but then I'm also going to be placing a plate over the top of it. Now, actually, you know what? So it's going to sit essentially just like that on the frame. And so unfortunately, if you guys can see that, my welding area is the seam that split. So I'm going to be welding all of this back in, adding metal in there, and pre-filling, making sure there is good penetration and everything. But then I will also be adding a plate over the top of it to connect this piece back to this piece, because the joint ends right here, and I want this to be one contiguous piece again. And then that's also why I'm going to be putting some type of reinforcement on the inside as well. On top of also having to reinforce this frame section, if you can see, I have removed the bar that goes between here. It is the rear fuel tank and forwardmost rear axle shock mount. Well, that side was completely just gone, rusted through, was no longer even attached. And this side, well, because that side was junk, this side had to come out anyway. And I'm referring to this right here. So if you will see, I've got some pink lines drawn with paint marker. And so this side of the paint line is the outline of the plate. Where did I put them? Is the outline of these plates. As you can see, they look roughly the same because it's got that little kick out corner down at the bottom there. So this is roughly what that plate is. And then same on this side, but that will actually be that plate that's already attached to the bar that goes on there. So I bring all this up is because because I have to do all of this at once, I will be doing this in steps. So what I determined last night / today is that I will be putting this tank, this fuel tank support in first, then this reinforcement section. And then after that, I will be doing additional reinforcements with, you can see that angle iron right there. I'm going to cut that apart, and on the inside there, right there, on both sides, I'm going to weld that angle iron to the inside lip of this bracket, so then to create a gusseted channel reinforcement that goes along the backside. Because as you guys can see, there is really nothing left there. All of that metal is thin. So what that bracket allows me to do is allows me to spread the load out across that entire section, but then it will also give me structure to weld to underneath, so then I can go in and channel that. And then what I do plan on doing in addition to is putting a gusset of some kind behind that on the inside as well. Just on the outside, of course, because once I start putting this front section back in, I won't have access to it. But what you guys are seeing me do on the time lapse is cut out these pipes, because this is what ends up getting welded to it. It will be a sandwich of this on the outside, that plate on the outside, this plate on the inside on that side, and then the plate that's already welded to that bracket goes on this inside, and then the last plate, which looks exactly like the outside plate on the opposite side, goes right here. That is my game plan. That is the entire goal. And then, of course, like I also mentioned, I have this rear bar, which is that black one that you can't see because it's in line with the shelf. But I have this one as well that I will be doing too. But the priority is the front, because this is the one, that right there is what did it for me. This is what pushed me to have to do it, because the truck started to sag and it was noticeable. When I went to remove the bed, you could actually see that there was gaps between the bed mount locations because the frame was starting to sag, and there was nothing that I could do about it. So I'm gonna quit talking now and get back to work. Just had to do a battery change. So had to stop the time lapse, figured I'd bring you guys back. So right now what I'm working on is removing this inner piece so that support can slide in this hole, because right now this is the same diameter as the bar itself. So I need to widen this to allow it to pass through. I have marked on the outside where that plate goes on this outside of the frame rail, so I know where to position the support. But right now, in the meantime, I grind all that flat because I'm going to be welding my plate back to it, and I'll be removing this bottom piece as well. And then in addition to that, I'll be welding in a plate back here to fill in what is no longer there, because this side is just as bad as the other side, but thankfully it's a lot more simple, so I don't have to fight nearly as much. But I'm gonna keep working at this. You guys are just gonna have to be okay with time lapse because I'm only by myself and I've only got the one camera and my phone. So is be what it is be, like I always say. I'm just gonna get working and stay working. When I get more progress, I will bring you guys back. Okay, so I'm done with the first bit of mock-up. This is the first time I've actually had the support in frame since I've started this job, so I am starting to put stuff back in very, very soon, as you guys can see. So I've got my outside plate marked, of course, clamped into place exactly where it needs to be. I've got the support bar in place, clamped on that. Still a long way to go, but figured I would bring you guys some updates. Trying to film this the best that I can, considering. So I'm gonna get back at it, and we're gonna continue. So time lapse has died on me a while ago now, so I've been working without filming. I do believe I'm on final fitment. I have made some adjustments to what I decided to do. Instead of plating the inside, I am just going to do I'm not gonna do any plating on the inside. I'm just gonna do my angle iron on the outside lip, or the inside lip of this side. I'm not gonna bother on the inside there. I will be welding up all the holes, of course. Right here too. All of that will get welded up, even if it's just gonna be, it's not gonna be for any structure. It's gonna be just for, just so there's not any holes. As far as I'm concerned, this is my final fitment before I start welding this into place. I gotta take it all back apart, clean up the edges, clean up all my parts, but then it's literally go time. Weld it in and she's good to go. And then it's just gonna be And then it's gonna start what this is actually about, is the frame repair, and then I can move on to the front and I can add my plates later. I'm gonna start disassembling this and start getting it all prepped. Okay, so in the instructions, you're supposed to paint underneath your plates. And so I've done that. I've now cleaned all my edges back off from where I'm gonna be welding. I have cleaned the metal on all my edges too. So overall, should generally give me nice welds. I'll have to clean this bottom edge really nicely. I didn't do that, but it's not a big deal. I'm gonna do a few tacks, and then I'll come back through and weld it solid. So for the opposing side, I'm gonna weld the inside before I stick that plate up and then weld the plate, just because I wanna make sure that's all tied in and secure. So I've still got the time lapse going, but I'm gonna start tacking and welding, and I'm on the downslope. I'm finally putting stuff in for the last time, not putting it in, taking out, putting it in, taking it out. So let's get to it. Hey, yo. So I have gotten the first brace welded in its entirety, completely. Okay, I lied, except for that bottom corner on the other side, but I don't know how I'm gonna end up doing that. I may try and fill that in with weld, or I may end up just running the piece of angle iron over the top of it. Don't know. But either way though, big load off my back. Huge portion of this job done now. Thankfully, it's over. I don't have to deal with it anymore. It's been a lot of work. 2 days. Close to, actually no. So I got here at 10. So I started at 2-ish yesterday. So I spent 8 hours on this yesterday. And it is 7, and it's almost been another 12 hours today. Now, you could make the argument that that is super slow for what I'm doing, but the whole point of me going slow is so I know it's done right. I don't have to worry about anything else. It'll be good to go. Yeah. So the big thing left to do now is the braces. And I can't wait to be done with that. Because then this part will be a cakewalk. That I'm not going to have to worry about nearly as much. It's going to be so much easier. This was just a lot of screwing around, but I'm glad it's done, and I'm on the downslope. Okay, y'all. So I've got the reinforcement piece now prepped and cleaned up, ready to be welded in. So like I've already mentioned, I am going to be doing a gusset to go over this and add strength to this region, since the crack where it failed is literally right there. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm going to do my best to get weld all the way through this entire joint. And then what I'm gonna do is come over the top of it with some, plate it right here, and then angle iron all along the inside to tie it all together. I'm getting ready to get out of here. I'm gonna get this one at least tacked into place and see if I'm happy with it in the morning. But yeah, the lion's share of the work is done. Now it's on the downslope, and I can't wait. Okay, so I decided instead of just tacking it, I'm gonna start burning it in, and that's what I did. I will say right now that these welds are fucking terrible. What I should have done and what I started to do is preheat both sides, just because this is so much thicker than this. And in order to get this up to temp, I'm doing this with equipment that's not meant to do it, so I'm having to do a little bit of tips and tricks on that. But I've got this burned in. I'm gonna buzz this down, and then I will be able to fish plate this. I've got to put a weld in there, weld in there, weld in there, finish going around here, do the top side, and then I will be plating this portion as well, like I've already talked about. But I'm getting out of here for the evening. I will be back tomorrow to finish up. Good morning, folks. It is the next day. So this is day 3, but if we want to get technical, it's 2.5. I'm sitting at 1.5 days right now. This is day 3 of truck surgery frame repair. I'm gonna try and be better about getting some better action shots of me actually in the moment welding and stuff today. So let's hope I pull through on that. But I need to make sure this gets done today, so I gotta focus specifically on getting all of this work done, because this truck has to be off the hoist today. I have work tomorrow, so can't do much for dilly-dallying at the moment. Gotta get to it. So thanks for joining me so far. So it's not pretty, but I'm dealing with rust, so it kind of is what it is. I've got almost all of my edges welded in. The 2 big edges up there at the top, down here at the bottom. I'm still gonna have some work to do in here. Okay, y'all, it's been a little bit since I've done some filming. I had the camera going, the GoPro going a while ago. It's been a bit now, but I've just been taking care of little teeny tiny things. The inner support that I wanted to do, I got done. That's tied in at the front, and at the back. I have to put this plate back in. That one's just gonna be a quick stitch job, nothing crazy. And then this can be done. I can put the last support across the top, and then this side will be completely done, and I can paint it and cover it and good. This back is gonna end up having to wait. I'm not gonna have time to get to it or the welding supplies, I do believe. So I'm gonna have to suffice with getting as far as I can on that side, because I don't know if I'm gonna have enough welding gas to finish both sides this weekend. So I may end up having to come back and finish it during the week. But I am going to get this buzzed in, get paint on the inside, and go from there. So since I've missed most of the filming for the actual, like, not the time-lapse portions of it, I figured I might as well for this last one, just so you guys can see what I'm doing. So what I've already done is I've tacked it at the top, I've tacked it at the bottom, I've tacked it on the inside, I've tacked it at multiple different points, all on the edges to get it in place, to get it clamped right where it needs to be, so I can just start burning it in. Now, I don't believe I'm gonna be able to finish today because I'm almost positive I am gonna run out of welding gas. Now, I don't know if I've mentioned that before or not yet today, but I am dangerously low on welding gas, so I'm gonna get through as much of this as I can tonight and call it good. And then depending on when we finally restock, I will have to continue, which I'm hoping will be tomorrow, because I can't go without my vehicle for too long. How's it going, folks? Derek here. Pews and Pull Starts back again. It's Memorial Day weekend. I'm not out hunting. I'm not doing anything. I'm out doing truck repair again. So where we left off last time was my truck frame had split on both sides. One side had actually started to sag, and then the other side had actually only cracked. It hadn't started to come apart yet. So what I ended up doing was I bought some reinforcement plates off of eBay for both sides. I also bought a rear gas tank support bar, and I also bought this bar, which is that one. We are putting that one in today because this one is rusted out all underneath. If you actually see right there, that is a little portion of that end. And if you can see that there's a portion of that missing, it's supposed to be an entirely circular tube. It's all rusted away. But what I ended up doing last time was I welded these plates on the outside to reinforce this. But then as you can see on the inside, right there, I also have angle going on the inside. I put in a piece of plate back there where I cut it out to be able to clean it up. And then that plate right there is for the gas tank reinforcement. It's the gas tank support. I saved the hook from the other ones, welded that back on, and I'll have to do the same with that one. But, and then all I gotta do is just cut that bar out. And this one's the fast one. We ran out of welding gas. So the next thing I'm actually doing is I'm going to be cutting this weld so this bar will no longer be attached by anything at all. It will fall out, and then I can proceed to get in there and start cutting out the rest of it with ease. Finally. Now you guys can see, it is gone. So I ended up switching over to time lapse on the GoPro. Stay along with it. All right, so pardon the dirt and everything, but I've made some progress. Camera died for the time lapse, so I don't know where that has ended. We shall see. But so far, progress has been made. I've got the center bar completely removed, brackets from both sides cut out. I have got the welding surfaces cleaned off, at least most of them. I've still got that one bracket right there to do, but the other side is done, and then the top is done, and then it's just gonna be welding it in, and then that's done. So you guys, I'm doing final fit up right now, attempting to get everything settled right where I want it to be. Getting ready to get the welder all set up and ready to go, and then I'm going to start doing some tacking. I do have to finish cleaning up plates still. I haven't forgotten about that, but we're at least getting to the point where I can start putting everything in, being done with it. Okay, so next thing I'm doing is, if you guys can see this big ass hole around it, well, I'm gonna be welding that from the back side. Now, I made this way bigger than I was supposed to. This was the first side I started, so I kind of fucked this one up a little bit, but I'll still be able to fix it. So what I'm gonna be doing is I will be welding from the inside here all along on here, building this all up, and doing the same where I can reach on this side, everywhere I can for both of these pipes. Right there, and right there, of course. So that's what I'm going to continue to do now. I'm just going to leave the camera rolling for you guys, and what you guys get is what you guys get. Hey y'all, it's been a little bit. I did a terrible job filming an outro for all of the work that I've done on my truck, but figured since I have some time and I'm finally sitting down to edit the video, I can actually give you guys a decent little outro. So I'm gonna take you guys underneath the truck. Now granted, the truck's assembled and all together, but I'll still be able to show you guys exactly what it is and how my repairs have held up in the months since then. So I'm gonna take you out to the truck now. So here's underneath the truck. Here's underneath the truck. Oh, let me clean that shit off. This was the last bit of footage that you guys saw me do, putting in this crossbar. I got it welded up on top here. That side, it is tied into the lower bit of the frame and the upper. And then you can actually see the back part of the brace. You can see the angle iron that I did. I also ended up putting the angle iron in on this side. That all got seal coated and everything. And then for the box repair, I never talked about it, but what I ended up doing is I cut out the frame rails, the bed rails for this. And what I ended up doing was the cage nuts that are actually inside the frame rail. I welded that to a 1/8 inch thick steel flat stock. And then I stitch welded that back into place. You guys can actually see it. So they're about 6 to 8 inches long, and I slid them in, slid them back into place, and then put 2 plug welds on each side, and then also stitch welded them. And then if you can also see, I reinforced that whole section because this part I cut out. If you can actually see that, there's actually a giant piece cut out from behind that because when I initially had to put this box on, it needed repair. So I welded this plate stock in and then welded this to the front of that. And I did that for both of them because both of those had fallen out. So now my box has 6 bolts instead of the 4 that it had when I initially put it on. So that generally details the repair that I ended up doing on my truck. It took close to 50 hours total. 3 days for the frame repair and the gas tank, 2 days for the spare tire carrier and rear shock mount. That one took 2 days. And then the bed repair, that took half a day. That was actually the fastest and easiest thing to do. I apologize for not doing a better job of filming it. That was not my priority, like I said in the beginning of the video. But I appreciate you guys for checking it out. And while it's not my usual content, I just wanted to show you guys that it won't always be trapping, it won't always be hunting. I do automotive things as well. So appreciate you guys for checking it out. Thanks for joining me. See you in the next one. Peace.